We entered what I like to call the reinvention revolution, as many of us have been forced to reinvent our careers and our organizations. And as someone that has reinvented themselves several times throughout your own career, what advice do you have for both first-time and more seasoned leaders as we advance further through this reinvention revolution?
Well, the first thing in the reinvention revolution is to recognize the accelerated rate of change and that nobody now can just do maintenance. But I think you identified the fundamental issue we all need to address, which is reskilling isn't just about technical skills. It's also about the human layer on top even of the most amazing technological innovations. As many companies now, for example, are preparing to return to offices, and they have created amazing technological processes. But at the same time, if they don't address the human factor, productivity is going to go down because we have all the data that shows that productivity is incredibly affected by levels of stress among employees. If you have the best technology in the world and your employees are stressed out of their minds, they're not going to be particularly productive. And what we should be doing is offering employees the tools and techniques to actually be able to prioritize their own well-being.
If you were to name 3 characteristics of a bright leader, what would they be?
Imperturbability, unflappability, serenity, finding the eye in the hurricane, finding the calm center in the middle of crisis. If a leader cannot stay centered and able to be cool-headed in the middle of all the unprecedented crises that we are encountering now, then it will be very hard to really both lead teams and innovate. I love what you are saying in your book about innovation starts with I, and same applies to leadership. They need to make sure they can put their own oxygen mask on first before they can help anyone else. Make sure the leaders recognize that taking care of themselves is not self-indulgent. On the contrary, it strengthens their own foundation so that they can identify the icebergs before they hit the Titanic, and also be able to truly create and innovate. One of the things that I love is to identify qualities in people we are working with that maybe they haven't even seen in themselves, and help them test them and move to another job within the organization or test different abilities. And when you move somebody to do something that's more needle moving, you inspire them to also bring out of themselves qualities they didn't even know they had. So inspiration is about encouraging people to move into areas where they can have a bigger impact.
Just the fact that we haven't closed the gender gap in the workplace, and we still have ways to go. And you're a very, very inspiring, woman leader. And we wanted to know from you, do women have to work twice as hard or pretend to be a superwoman? Or how do we break this cycle and unrealistic expectations?
Well, this is a great time to really look in the mirror and find the leader in ourselves. And that's what is so great. We don't have to wait for a leader on a white horse to save us. Finding the leader in ourselves and nurturing that part, nurturing that potential constantly. And if we make mistakes, learn from them, but move on. I speak especially to the women leaders in the group because women have a tendency to be perfectionists. And if we make a mistake, we tend to beat ourselves up for 48 hours or longer before we can move on.
How can we be more proactive about reinventing ourselves? How do we know before it's too late when we have to make a change?
The key here is a greater level of self-awareness and taking more time to pause and reflect. According to the latest science, it actually takes micro steps to change our behavior and make us less anxious, less stressed, and more productive, healthier, and happier. And that's what I love. That's what makes me optimistic, that just by picking small microscopic changes in your life and your behavior, you can affect outcomes. If somebody is sleeping 4 hours and they need to be sleeping 8, you don't tell them go from 4 to 8. You tell them start with a micro step of not putting your phone by your bed. The answers to all the problems we are facing right now have existed for centuries. We just need to reconnect with them.